Things I wish I knew as a beginner photographer. There are 5 things that we're going to go through, but welcome back to the car. We're here for another car talk. I want to keep doing these, even if this channel gets to like 1 million subscribers one day. I want to still be able to do these raw car talk videos, just because I feel like it's fun. It's more of a relatable experience than this whole high production bloody YouTube videos all the time. So, things I wish I knew as a beginner photographer. The first one is that it is expensive. I did not anticipate how expensive photography was when I first decided to get into it. I was like, oh, right, cool, I'll look at a camera. And then I looked at cameras and they were like starting at like 5 to 1,000 to 2,000 for like the cameras that I saw people using. Like I watched North Borders and I was like, oh, I want his camera like 3-4 grand. I was like, yeah, cool, can't do that. So I opted to go for a Sony A7III was my first camera, which was, I got it on a good deal. I picked it up for $650, but I think it's like 900 pounds. But I managed to pick it up, just the camera body on its own, for $650. And then I got a Sigma f1.4 35mm for, how much was that lens? 600 as well, I think, for the crop sensor version. Pretty sure it was around 600. Have I got dirt on the lens? So yeah, over £1,000 just for a camera and a lens. Obviously you can go a lot cheaper, but that is obviously going to start to affect your the stuff you can do with it. So I wouldn't go too cheap, but I would also remember, on to the next point, number 2, is that lenses are more important than cameras. I wish I knew that sooner, because I was too busy looking at the camera bodies, spending ages trying to figure it out, even when I was going up to a full frame camera. And I was like, you know what, to be honest, it's more about the actual glass that's on the end of it. You never want to get a really expensive camera body and then cheap out on the lens. I would rather get a cheaper camera body but then get a more expensive lens, because the main difference is megapixels, and to a certain extent you don't need that many megapixels. Like you can get 120 or whatever the limit is that these newer cameras have got. I don't even know the stats, to be honest, but basically the higher and the newer cameras have got more megapixels, which means basically if they want to blow their photos up and put their photo on the side of a wall, it would keep the quality and it would keep all the detail, because there's so many megapixels in that photo, and they're such big files. Whereas smaller cameras, they have lower megapixels, so they're not as crazy sharp when you blow them up. But for like normal stuff like Instagram and things like that, you can barely notice it. So putting an expensive lens on a cheaper camera, to a certain extent, don't fucking like call me out, because if you find a £100 camera, obviously it might be a bit shit. But as long as the camera can like run and do certain stuff, like I use a Sony A7III. It's not the craziest camera in the world. It's got a decent amount of megapixels. It can shoot 4K and it can take some decent photos. And I'll put an expensive lens on the end of it, and it will take even better photos. Yeah, don't focus too much on the camera bodies. I'd focus more on the lenses. Just get a camera body that can at least do the bare minimum. Do you know what I mean? Like 24 megapixels or 48 megapixels or whatever the average is. Shoot 4K if you want to shoot some video, and then just whack a good solid lens on the end of it. You will be absolutely fine. Live through optics, popping off on Instagram, he still uses a Sony A7III. Do you know what I mean? Still using that crop sensor camera, and it's doing fine. Does not matter. These platforms compress all your stuff anyway. Number 3, I've only just got this into my head. So this is me 3 years into photography. I've only just come to terms. I always knew it, but I've only just started to do it, and that is that low f-stop doesn't mean better photo. For some reason, for so long, I was stuck in my way of, right, f1.4 means absolutely banging photo, which it doesn't. It does in certain circumstances, like if you were to take a detailed shot of a little mini gear stick and you wanted everything else blurry, then yes, f1.4 is going to actually make it look really cool, because it's going to separate the background. But if you're taking like a full portrait or a full length shot of a car or a full length shot of a building, f1.4 is going to do you no justice. It's just not going to give you the photo that you need. It's going to look a lot better at a higher f-stop, and I've only just come to terms with this. I was shooting a McLaren the other day, and I was shooting it at like f6, and I was like, I never shoot this high, but I was like, let's just try it. And I loved the photos, because there was so much in focus. Even the buildings in the background were in focus, and the difference is I could then pull the photo back if I wanted to and blur some stuff out in the background. But whereas if I shot f1.4, I'd probably only have the bumper of the car in focus at the front. The rest of the car would be out of focus, which I do sometimes on my photo shoots, and I'm like, great, it's not even all in focus, because I was too low on the f-stop, because I was like, oh, I've got f1.4, so I should just use it. It's not always the case, all right? So just have that in your head and remember that low f-stop does not mean a better photo at all. The next one is, editing is subjective, which it very much so is. Everyone's photos are different. Everyone's photos are different. And there's no right or wrong way to do things in photography. You might like adding loads of blues into your images. Cool. Some people might not like that. You might like to go really, really orange. You might like to go black and white. Whatever you like is good. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to do something, do it. Don't like not do it just because other people might not like it. You're never gonna please everyone. There are hundreds of thousands of millions of photographers in the world, and just people in general that are going to see your photos. You'd be stupid to think that everyone is going to like them and that you should change them based on what other people are saying. Obviously, there's a very bad way to do things, like if you just absolutely overexpose everything so you can't even see the picture, then obviously that is just stupid. But styles and all these sort of things, they're absolutely fine to go wherever you want with. You can go as crazy as you want and as little as you want. It does not matter. Your photos are your photos. Fuck what everyone else says. Do whatever you want. I get all the time on TikTok, I get hate being like, nah, I prefer the raw image. I prefer this. I hate your presets and all this. And I'm like, mate, shut up. I don't care. I'm going to post the next one the same day, so come back and have a look at that as well if you want. It's just, yeah, people are just strange that want to voice their opinions anyway, but just don't listen to any of it. It's all noise, mate. It's all noise. Where are you going then? You indicating? Nice one. People don't know how to use a roundabout apparently. And that's the same for presets as well. If you use presets, go for it. I use presets every single day. I haven't got time to be editing each photo individually from a full shoot. So I've got preset packs, which are linked below. Shameless plug, don't care. That I use every single day to get my work done so I can move on to the next project. It gives me an instant style or a starting point. I figure out what I want to do, sync it across all the photos, job done, maybe do a couple of adjustments to some of them. Ta-da, finished. Some people like them, some people hate them. You'll get people all the time moaning, being like, you shouldn't buy presets, you shouldn't use presets. Shut up, don't care, do what you want, I'll do what I want, don't tell me what I can and can't do. All right, so just remember that with editing and presets, do whatever you want, all right? Figure it out. There's no right way to do things. And the last one that you've all been waiting for is shooting everything. Shoot everything possible. Do not niche down. Obviously you can niche, like I'd shoot car photography, it's kind of my thing. Like if you've got my Instagram, go on this YouTube, it's mainly car photography. But if I want to go do a portrait shoot, or if I want to go do some nature photography, guess what? I'll go do it. Because what you should do is be versatile, because each area of photography, portraiture, landscapes, nature, that all requires different skill sets and different techniques. So if you go and do those things, you can learn new techniques, which you might then be able to transfer into your photography that you like. So for me, I went and did some nature photography on holiday once, and I learned so much about framing and about settings and different ways to do things that I could then pull back into my car photography. Same with portraiture. You learn so much by just doing everything, and I think you learn the most by doing street photography. If you've just started photography, get out on the street, go to a city or somewhere cool and just go do some street photography. It's the best way to learn, because there's just photos everywhere in all different styles, and you're gonna have to use all different settings to figure them out. Obviously you can still niche down like I have. Do you have your thing that you enjoy the most, but don't neglect other stuff, because then what you do is, if you're trying to build a personal brand like I am, or just do photography in general, you lock yourself into one lane, and then people that are looking at your stuff or things you might want to do, you might not be able to, because you've built this whole platform or this whole thing around this one specific thing. Whereas for me, I can do whatever the fuck I want. People on my page know that I might just post a random portraiture, or I might just post a random landscape or a drone shot or car photography, which is what I normally do, but they know that I'm going to post random stuff, because that's what I've done since day one. I haven't niched down, I've gone for everything, and it's just more fun. Because yeah, you might I love car photography, but it gets boring sometimes. I don't want to shoot cars every single weekend. It can get boring, so I shoot other stuff to mix it up. All right, so my advice is, don't niche down too hard to the point where you can't try anything else. Try to do as many different things as you can, and then obviously do the thing you enjoy the most majority of the time. So yeah, that is the 5 things I wish I knew as a beginner photographer. Not that it would have, well, it would have boosted me along a little bit more. Obviously I still got to this position that I'm in now, and I still like the photos I'm taking, But if I knew those things a little bit earlier, I probably could have been a bit further ahead. All right, so if you can actually put those things that I've just talked about into practice now, you will hopefully understand a lot more, and you'll be in a lot better position than you would have been, so you don't have to learn those mistakes. You can just learn them from this video, and then job done. They're there. All right, subscribe, guys. Plenty more content coming, a big variety of content. See, I'm not niching down with content either. It's not always high production stuff. We sit in the car sometimes and we just chat bollocks. All right, so subscribe. Nearly monetized. Appreciate it. See you later.